Happy New Year's, everyone. I want to hear all of your New Year's resolutions. Mine is to consume more KFC, get really fat, and then regret everything. Also, if you're wondering what this little circle is, I finally got a pop filter, so when I say the letter P, it won't sound like a magnitude 9 earthquake. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. I'll take it. So Robert Eggers Nosferatu came out on the 1st of January, at least in the UK. Okay, you Americans got it first, and then Germany got it before you guys, so I guess we are just the runt of the pack. I've been waiting for such a long time for this film to come out that I also looked like a malnourished demon. I guess that's what an alcoholic-induced Christmas does to you. The question is, why was this story in particular the one Robert Eggers chose to do? And did it live up to the original made all of those years ago? You're going to find out very quickly in this video that I love Robert Eggers. When The Lighthouse came out, it really took the world by storm, and it shined a light on The Witch and all of his work since. I realised I accidentally made a pun there. His style is a symbiosis of captivating writing and visual poetry. Each of his films is imprinted with this essence of respect and determination to nail the world building and its corresponding elements to make it feel like a lived-in place. Immersion is his forte, whether it be the environment or the emotional state of his characters. If you're enjoying this video, feel free to subscribe. It means the world. I think he's a director who doesn't take shortcuts. I think he studies the content thoroughly and has unintentionally stood out amongst so many artists because you can see the authenticity of his voice. And an artist like this can be easily polarizing. When someone has such a distinct style, it's not gonna please everyone, unlike other directors who have taken projects which are a lot more universal and might have a wider appeal. Robert really loves dark and mature themes. If I had a young child, I would hold off on letting them watch Robert's work until that fateful day when I can say, okay, you're ready. Prepare yourself. Because in this film, Robert Pattinson shags a mermaid, and in this film, Lily Rose Depp shags a goblin. The film, of course, is inspired by the original story of Dracula, written by Bram Stoker. It's the birth of what we know today as the vampire craze, so we do kind of have Bram to thank for all of the incredible vampire films that came out since. Like the Twilight Saga. The 1922 Nosferatu presented us with the first on-screen adaptation of a vampire, but a lot of the copies were destroyed because of Stoker's family estate, who weren't, you know, the biggest fans of Murnau, the German director of the original film. Effectively, it was seen as plagiarism and pretty disrespectful to make an adaptation of someone else's book. I mean, to be fair, I don't think they asked for the rights, whereas nowadays, book adaptations is just the normal thing to do. The film follows Ellen and Thomas Hutter. Ellen has a deep psychological connection to a force she first thought was a positive being, until she got catfished and is now being plagued by dark, submissive thoughts. In fact, the whole town of Wisborg is literally plagued. Thomas sets out on a job to sell some real estate to Count Orlak, who finesses Thomas in order to transport his coffin closer to Ellen, who he wants to form a covenant with. So the true horror of the story really is just Thomas's fear of becoming a cuck. Watching this film in the cinema was an amazing experience. It was like one of the most beautiful films I'd seen in a good long while. The cinematography of this film is one of its strongest assets because it's taken the roots of German expressionist art and it's just up in the ante. The lighting style of the film is something called chiaroscuro, which effectively just means contrast in light and dark in order to create depth in the frame. It makes these beautifully framed shots we see consistently throughout the film, and some of the shots are so dark that your eyes are just fixated onto this like single subject, and of course that is completely intentional. There's like a million panning shots in this film. I mean, every second you're just turning one way and the other, and I kind of like it. It's pretty unique. It is purely there for tension and kind of obscurity, but I mean, they use it for like one jump scare. Every second the camera is just slowly panning, and it's there to create that unease of something being around the corner, even if it's a wide open space. A very similar thing is done in the Resident Evil games. The camera is effectively just a fixed position until you walk around the corner and just get scared shitless. German expressionism did wonders for the film industry, and you can see its inspiration in so many modern works. I mean, if you like Tim Burton, you'll probably like German expressionism. What Jarin Blasch did is just an evolution of what he's already done with Robert Eggers, and the two just have this great partnership, and Jarin blended this German expressionist style with earlier 19th century influences, the Romanticism. And this led to the use of colour in the film, as opposed to just shooting in black and white like in The Lighthouse. Even though the colours are so desaturated, it might as well be black and white, but they use them so well. As desaturated as it seems, the costumes blended in perfectly with the set. Like, there's so much thought put into each frame, and I have no doubt that this is the type of film that would be studied for like ages within the future, just because of how much thought is put into it. Just in the cinematography alone, like not even considering writing, which is a totally different ballpark. As all of you know, some films just completely miss the mark when it comes to retelling an original story. They might fall short and lead to the inevitable questions of, why was this made? Was this a cash grab? Yeah, maybe. But everything the Nosferatu 2024 version did was only an improvement on the first silent film, primarily because of the cast. The performances in Nosferatu are phenomenal, and it felt more akin to watching like a theatre production as opposed to just a film. And a lot of this is thanks to the figurative language used in the film, you know, the old dialects, the texts, and this is something Robert Eggers has become honestly a master at. His ability to write is it's crazy underappreciated. And yeah, some people might find the film kind of hard to understand, but like if you get like just a tiny grasp of the story, you're gonna be fine. Honestly, if you don't have the dialogue, you're kind of fine anyways, because the visuals do enough. The cast kills it in this film. Everyone is so good. I mean, you've got so many emotional ranges, and even Bill Skarsgård is sensational. His range is ridiculous, and he's collecting horror characters like they're Infinity Stones. I'm not sure about his lungs though. I'm a bit concerned for him, I can't lie. He needs to get that checked out. Nosferatu as a character is extremely invasive, and he's a bit of a nonce. All jokes aside, the nature of Nosferatu's powers kind of reminded me of why the Xenomorph was so effective as an antagonist. It's because of its invasive, violating way of doing things, and I don't doubt that this can be quite triggering for certain audiences, but that is kind of the point. As dark as that is. There's a reason these films are marketed towards more mature audiences, and it's not all down to the gore. It's ultimately because you need to be developed enough to understand what the film is trying to say, as opposed to trying to freak people out for the sake of freaking people out. That's the line between good and bad horror. Of course, Willem Dafoe is in it, because Willem and Eggers go hand in hand, and I'm not mad about that at all. I love Willem. Who doesn't love Willem? Come on, man.
Don't move. She's got a pocket watch, it's evidence. Tell me where it is. Maybe I can make this go away.
It honestly blows my mind how active he is, how much energy Willem has as a performer despite, you know, his age. And he brings this like comedic flair to the film, he brings the energy up, and he kind of does a little, honestly, he creates a tonal change, and it's actually kind of necessary in the point of the narrative. And in terms of what I think could have been done better about the film is of course purely down to subjectivity. For me, it was kind of the editing. I mean, for the most part, it was fantastic, but there were a few moments here and there which kind of confused me. I think the film's attempts to jump scare kind of fall a little bit flat because it is just flash frames of people's faces, and it's not really necessary. And it's just because it didn't portray itself as that type of horror, so it kind of came in left field. There were two awkward cuts which left me a bit disoriented. I was wondering, did it actually happen, or was my confusion the intention of the editor, in which case it was done perfectly well. The first cut was when Thomas originally finds out that he's been bitten on the chest and that he's lost the locket, and then it kind of does a flashback, cut back to when he's with Orlak, and then it cuts back to Tom again rediscovering that he's been bitten and has lost the locket. I don't know why it was shown twice. I feel like one of those segments could have just been cut out and you would have got the exact same result, but you know, fair enough. Maybe I'm missing something. I feel like we didn't need that initial scene because we already got told he lost the locket. The other cut was during Thomas and Ellen's lovemaking scene. When she's under Nosferatu's influence, it happens really quickly, it's really abrupt, and I don't know whether it's because it cuts to a different angle, or if it's because Thomas is spatially further away from Ellen. It just confused me a little bit. I was left wondering if that scene even happened, or if it was in Ellen's head, and I didn't really get a definitive answer. Maybe I'll have to rewatch the scene to analyse the editing. No, not for any other reason. I know a lot of people weren't fans of the pacing of the film. The biggest complaint about the film is that it does really slow down, especially in the middle, and I did find that to be a little bit true. For me, it felt the film slows down just after Thomas escapes the castle, but also, I don't necessarily think it was a bad thing at all. Thing is, I feel like people have preconceived expectations of what they're going to receive when they book to watch a horror film. Maybe a lot more jump scare scenes, maybe Nosferatu just sneaking around murdering more people, just a lot more tense sequences. But people have to understand that the original film didn't do that, and neither did the source material, because a lot of it is told through diary extracts. So if anyone's going to stick to the source material and be faithful, it would be Robert Eggers. And that's what I meant earlier by saying it doesn't feel like that type of horror. I mean, this Nosferatu, it feels more like a gothic story, which doesn't want to just focus on delivering cheap thrills and jump scares. And whilst many horror films are very effective in delivering these jump scares, they do fail at other components, and so people may consider Nosferatu to fail in this component, and that's a fair judgment. I can't blame anyone who thinks that, because we have been conditioned to expect a specific thing from horror films, but Robert's the type of guy that is going to switch things up, and at that point it just comes down to preference. See, Nosferatu does maintain a lot of dark, gory visuals. Even the sound design is just horrible. Just the blood-sucking goblin just sucking away. And there's a lot of invasiveness. And body horror has become a lot more popular recently, and I think that's just because you can work with so many different, really relevant themes. And for this in particular, it explores the fear of the unknown and the duality of humanity, such as Ellen being simultaneously attracted and also grossed out by Orlac. So it is a slower film, because Eggers wants to immerse you. He wants his characters to take you on a journey, the music, the visuals to take you on a journey. And you know, if people think that's pretentious, that's their choice, isn't it? For me, it's like visual poetry. You know, it's like a filmmaker's dream to create something as beautiful as that. So final thoughts. Of course, nothing is perfect, but Nosferatu 2024, honestly, it is a near perfect adaptation of the source material. I'm sorry, I have to say it, I just love it that much. It's a gothic story which paved the way for horror, and Eggers balanced it. You know, on one hand you have the core German expressionist roots and, you know, the source of horror, the source of everything we love today, and on the other hand you have the modern high production cinematography and the sound design, and it does become this thought-provoking slow burn. I mean, on that final shot, like when the camera just rises from the bed and it's just the image of the bed, that's like an art project in itself. You know, that's like, it's horrible, but it looks amazing. And on that shot where the frame just cuts to black, my cinema was just dead silent, because you could tell everyone was in a trance. They were so immersed in this weird and wonderful world, and then the credits come up and everyone just snaps back to reality. That type of immersion is something which is really rare nowadays, and when you do experience it, that's what cinema is all about. You know, it's a collective experience, and it's a rare occurrence, but it's a staple of what makes a good film. It's what I want from a film anyway. My voice is going. Nosferatu 2024 was a fantastic film. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe if you are new, and take care.